In the heart of the Italian Dolomites, where jagged limestone peaks pierce the sky and the wind sculpts the snow into ever-changing forms, survival is a daily battle. Here the air is thin, the nights are bitterly cold, and the land is both breathtaking and unforgiving. Amidst this wild beauty, a she-wolf lived as part of a thriving pack, her thick coat and keen senses finely tuned to the demands of the alpine wilderness. She was the alpha female, a position of respect and responsibility shared with her strong and experienced mate. Together they led with wisdom and vigilance, always alert to the dangers that lurked among the crags and forests. Their lives were dictated by the ancient rhythms of the hunt and the raising of their young, a delicate balance of power and cooperation within the pack's strict hierarchy. Every member had a role, from the swift scouts to the nurturing caregivers, all working in harmony to ensure the pack's survival. They were masters of their domain, a family unit working in perfect synchrony to bring down formidable prey like red deer, using the snow and terrain to their advantage. Each hunt was a test of endurance and strategy, ensuring the survival of every member. This coordinated effort was the very essence of their existence, the foundation upon which their dynasty was built in this breathtaking yet unforgiving landscape. The mountains demanded resilience, and the wolves answered with unity and adaptability. One day this fragile harmony was shattered. The pack had successfully hunted a large deer, a bounty that should have fed them for days, a rare moment of abundance in a land where hunger is never far away. But the scent of their prize attracted an unwelcome visitor, a massive brown bear, the only true competitor for a wolf pack in these high mountains. In the alpine wild, food is scarce, and every meal is a prize worth fighting for. Driven by instinct and the need to protect his family and their food, the alpha male confronted the intruder. The stakes were high. Without this meal, the pack would face days of hunger. The resulting conflict was brutal and swift, a violent clash of strength and willpower. Though the pack fought valiantly alongside him, the bear's immense strength was overwhelming. In the wild, even the bravest can fall to a stronger foe. The alpha wolf was gravely injured in the struggle and, despite the pack's efforts, succumbed to his wounds, leaving the she-wolf and her family without their leader. Loss is a constant shadow in the alpine wild, and the pack's grief was palpable. The loss of the alpha male sent ripples of instability through the pack. Without his guidance, the delicate balance of order and cooperation began to unravel. With the leadership vacuum, a new order began to form. Tensions rose as younger wolves vied for dominance, each testing the boundaries of the old hierarchy. The she-wolf's own daughter, now mature, came into season and naturally ascended to the role of the new alpha female, poised to choose a new mate and lead the pack forward. The cycle of life and leadership continued as it always had in the wild. However, a complication lay hidden within the grieving she-wolf. She was already pregnant with her deceased mate's final litter. In the harsh alpine world, this secret carried grave consequences. According to the rigid laws of the pack, only the alpha female is permitted to bear pups. This rule is enforced with unwavering discipline, a survival strategy honed by generations. This unwritten rule is a harsh but necessary strategy to ensure the pack's resources are not stretched too thin, guaranteeing the strongest lineage survives. In the alpine wild, every mouth to feed is a calculation of risk and reward. Suddenly, the she-wolf was no longer a respected matriarch, but an outcast within her own family. The bonds of kinship were severed by the relentless logic of survival. Her presence, and that of her unborn cubs, was a threat to the new order and the survival of the pack as a whole. The risk of infanticide loomed, a brutal reality in the struggle for dominance. To protect her soon-to-be-born young from the inevitable conflict and potential infanticide, she made a heart-wrenching decision. The instinct to nurture clashed with the instinct to survive. Under the cloak of darkness, she slipped away from the territory she had always known, leaving behind the only family she had ever had. Every step into the unknown was a gamble, but her maternal drive was stronger than fear. She was now a lone wolf, facing the vast, intimidating expanse of the Alps, with the sole purpose of finding a safe place to bring a new generation into the world. Every day would test her endurance, her cunning, and her will to survive. Her epic journey had begun. Alone she would have to navigate treacherous terrain, evade predators, and find food in a land where scarcity is the rule. Yet in the heart of the Dolomites, hope and determination burn as fiercely as the winter winds. The she-wolf's journey was one of staggering scale and incredible hardship, a true testament to the endurance demanded of all alpine wildlife. Setting out in the cold days of early March, she turned her face towards the unknown, propelled by a primal instinct to survive and protect her unborn young. In the alpine world, survival is a daily battle, and every creature must adapt to the relentless cold, scarce food, and ever-present danger. Her path was a formidable one, a 1,300-kilometre odyssey across the very spine of Europe. For the wolf, as for the ibex, the chamois, and the golden eagle, endurance is not a choice. It is a necessity. She began in the familiar peaks of the Dolomites in Italy, a landscape she knew intimately, but she was now traversing it alone, without the security and strength of her pack. Like the solitary snow hare, she relied on her instincts and agility to navigate the treacherous terrain. Every shadow could conceal a threat, and every passing day brought her closer to the time when she would be at her most vulnerable, ready to give birth. The lynx, too, must remain ever vigilant, stalking silently through the undergrowth, avoiding detection by both prey and rival predators. Her trek was relentless, a testament to the sheer power of will that exists in the natural world. Blizzards swept across the ridges, winds howled through the valleys, and temperatures plunged far below freezing. Like the alpine ptarmigan, which burrows into the snow to escape the cold, she had to find ways to endure the elements. She pushed onward, often covering 50 to 60 kilometers in a single day, an astonishing feat for any creature, let alone one heavy with pups. The mountain goat, too, must scale sheer cliffs and leap across icy chasms to find food, each step a test of strength and balance. From Italy she crossed into Austria, navigating the deep, imposing valleys of Tyrol and the Zillertal. Here avalanches thundered down the slopes, and the snowpack could shift beneath her paws at any moment, just as it does for the red deer who must migrate to lower elevations to survive the harshest months. She then moved west into Switzerland, a land of towering giants, passing through the Canton Crescent over the legendary Saint-Gothard Pass, and near the iconic silhouettes of Monte Rosa and the Matterhorn. Each new range presented a different set of challenges: treacherous ice fields, roaring avalanches, and the constant gnawing pangs of hunger. Food was scarce. She sniffed the barren snow for any trace of prey, her body growing thinner with each passing day. Like the alpine marmot, which survives by hibernating through the winter, she had to ration her energy, moving only when absolutely necessary. As she moved through these territories, she was an intruder, a ghost moving through the lands of other established wolf packs and predators. The golden eagle, too, must defend its hunting grounds from rivals, soaring high above the peaks in search of sustenance. She had to be clever and cautious, avoiding any confrontation that could end her journey prematurely. Like the elusive stoat, she used stealth and cunning to slip past danger, always alert to the scent of other predators. She travelled mostly at night, using the cover of darkness to mask her movements, her senses on high alert for the slightest sound or scent of danger. The nocturnal owl, too, relies on the night to hunt and evade threats, its keen hearing and silent flight essential for survival. The journey pushed her to the very limits of her physical and mental endurance. Her muscles ached, her breath came in ragged gasps, and her paws were raw from the ice. Yet, like the chamois scaling impossible heights, she pressed on, driven by the promise of new life. The loneliness was as much a burden as the physical exertion, a stark contrast to the constant companionship and security she had known her entire life within the tightly knit structure of her former pack. The alpine hare, too, faces isolation, relying on camouflage and silence to avoid predators. Finally, after weeks of ceaseless travel, she crossed into France, her paws treading the snows of the immense Mont Blanc massif. Here the air was thin, the cold even more biting, and the landscape vast and unforgiving. Here, utterly exhausted and with the birth of her cubs imminent, she knew she could go no further. Like the ibex, which seeks out hidden ledges to give birth away from predators, she needed a sanctuary, the urgent need for a safe haven. A den to protect her from the elements and from other predators became her singular focus. The alpine fox, too, must find or dig a den deep beneath the snow to shield its young from the cold and hungry eyes of rivals. Her instinct guided her to a sheltered spot beneath the gnarled roots of an ancient fallen tree. It was a place hidden from the wind and prying eyes, a rare sanctuary in a world of constant peril. It was a humble refuge, but it was secure. Here she could finally rest, her body and spirit battered but unbroken. In this secluded hollow she collapsed, her great journey reaching its first critical conclusion as she prepared for the next chapter of her struggle. Like all alpine survivors, she had endured, against the odds, against the elements, and against the loneliness of the wild. In the quiet solitude of her makeshift den beneath the tree stump, the she-wolf gave birth, but she was not alone in her struggle. Across the Mont Blanc massif, the arrival of spring signalled a new generation for many alpine creatures, each facing their own daunting trials. 8 tiny, blind and helpless wolf cubs entered the world, a fragile spark of life in the immense wilderness. Nearby, marmot pups blinked at the sun for the first time, and a chamois kid took its first trembling steps on a sheer slope. For each mother it was a moment of profound significance, the culmination of arduous journeys and the beginning of new ones. The she-wolf nuzzled her cubs, the marmot groomed her young, and the chamois guided her kid away from danger. However, the harsh realities of their world immediately set in. The alpine environment is unforgiving, and the mortality rate for newborns is high, even with the support of a family or group. For the wolf cubs, the odds were stacked against them. For marmot pups, a late frost could mean death. For the chamois kid, a single misstep could be fatal. In the end, despite the best efforts of their mothers, not all would survive. Only 6 of the 8 wolf pups made it through the first crucial weeks. Marmot mothers stood guard at burrow entrances, and chamois mothers braced against the wind to shield their young. Now the she-wolf faced her greatest challenge yet, raising 6 cubs entirely on her own. The marmot mother, too, was ever vigilant, ready to sound the alarm at the first sign of danger. The chamois mother led her kid to safer ground, always on the move. Without a pack, the she-wolf had no alpha male to help her hunt, no subordinate wolves to stand guard over the den, and no shared responsibility to bring back food. The marmot mother, too, had to leave her pups alone to forage, risking their safety with every absence. Every single task fell upon her shoulders. For the wolf and the marmot, the struggle to provide was relentless. She had to leave her vulnerable cubs for hours at a time to hunt for prey, a constant and agonizing risk. The marmot mother, too, foraged in haste, always wary of predators. Every rustle in the undergrowth, every shadow passing overhead could signal a predator drawn to the scent of her young. For marmots, the shadow of a golden eagle sent the colony into a frenzy of alarm calls and frantic dashes for cover. Her maternal instincts were in a constant state of high alert, a nerve-wracking vigil that left her perpetually exhausted. The same was true for marmot mothers, who often went hungry to keep their young safe. The dangers were very real and ever-present. The Alps are home to other formidable hunters. The lynx, stealthy and efficient, prowled the underbrush. Foxes, too, stalked the burrows of marmots and the dens of other small mammals. These solitary hunters, often mothers themselves, posed a significant threat to the new generation. The lynx hunted to feed her own cubs, while the fox vixen taught her kits the art of survival. The she-wolf knew that a moment of inattention could be fatal for her offspring. The marmot mother, too, sometimes risked her own life to defend her pups. She also had to contend with the golden eagle, the master of the skies, whose keen eyes could spot a small straying cub or marmot pup from kilometers away. She was one mother against a world of threats, her success dependent on a combination of cunning, strength, and a measure of sheer luck in this high-stakes game of survival. The same was true for every alpine mother. Finding enough food was a relentless struggle. The she-wolf hunted tirelessly, the marmot mother dug for roots, and the chamois led her kid to hidden patches of grass. A single wolf hunting alone has a much lower success rate than a coordinated pack. Marmot mothers, too, often lost pups to predators despite their vigilance. She could not take down large prey like deer or chamois by herself. The chamois mothers, meanwhile, relied on the safety of the herd and the agility of their young to escape danger. Instead, the she-wolf had to rely on smaller game, marmots, hares, and any carrion she could find. Marmot mothers taught their pups to dig for food, passing on vital survival skills. This meant she was constantly on the move, her energy reserves depleted as she tried to catch enough to produce milk for her rapidly growing cubs. The same was true for marmot and chamois mothers, who often went without to feed their young. As the young grew stronger and began to venture out, their mothers' protective duties only intensified. Wolf cubs tumbled from the den, marmot pups wrestled in the grass, and chamois kids leapt between rocks under watchful eyes. Each mother knew that their temporary haven was not a permanent home. Soon they would have to move on again, seeking new shelter, new food sources, and new chances for survival. In the high Alps, every new generation faces a gauntlet of challenges, but with every struggle comes triumph. A wolf cub's first howl, a marmot pup's first dash to safety, a chamois kid's first leap. These moments of resilience and adaptation are the true survival secrets of the alpine wild. While the she-wolf endured her solitary struggle, the world around her was filled with remarkable examples of a different survival strategy: cooperation. In the extreme conditions of the Alps, where winter can last for 8 months and temperatures plummet to bone-chilling lows, many species have learned that working together is far more effective than competing against one another. Solidarity is not a matter of choice, but a fundamental key to existence. This principle is beautifully demonstrated by the small birds that inhabit the high-altitude forests, who have developed a sophisticated system of mutual aid to get through the leanest times. One can often observe a single snow-dusted pine tree alive with the activity of a mixed-species flock. Birds like crossbills, willow tits, crested tits, and blue tits will band together to forage. This is not a chaotic free-for-all, it is a highly organized partnership. Each species specializes in a different part of the tree, targeting different food sources. The crossbills use their unique beaks to pry open tough pine cones at the top, while tits scour the bark on the branches and trunk for insects and larvae. By sharing a single resource without directly competing, they all increase their chances of finding a meal. This avian alliance provides more than just efficient foraging, it also creates a powerful collective security system. With so many pairs of eyes and ears on the lookout, the flock is much better at detecting approaching predators, such as a goshawk or a pine marten. When one bird spots danger, it sounds a specific alarm call, instantly alerting the entire group. This shared vigilance allows each individual bird to spend less time scanning for threats and more time searching for precious calories, a crucial advantage when every bit of energy counts. It is a simple yet profound example of how community provides safety. This spirit of cooperation extends beyond just finding food and avoiding predators. It is a theme woven into the very fabric of alpine life. From the smallest plants huddling together for warmth to the largest mammals forming nurseries, the mountain ecosystem reveals that strength is often found not in individual might, but in the power of the group. The she-wolf's solitary journey, born of necessity, stands in stark contrast to this prevailing rule. Her struggle highlights just how challenging life can be without a support network in a world where so many other creatures have learned to rely on one another to survive. For example, chamois herds form tight defensive circles when threatened, with adults facing outward and the young protected in the center, a living shield against predators. Alpine marmots rely on sentinels, individuals who stand guard and whistle loudly at the first sign of danger, giving the rest of the colony precious seconds to dash to safety. Even golden eagles, typically solitary hunters, have been observed working in pairs to flush out prey from rocky crevices, demonstrating the power of teamwork even among apex predators. Red deer gather in large groups during blizzards, using their bodies to shield fawns and weaker members from the biting wind, their social bonds literally saving lives. Jackdaws, highly social birds, not only forage together but also share food and groom one another, strengthening the social ties that help them endure the harshest months. Even among ibex, males may spar for dominance, but when danger looms, they unite, moving as a single, coordinated herd to evade threats. These social bonds, whether forged through play, grooming, or shared hardship, are the invisible threads that hold alpine communities together. In the Alps, survival is not just about individual strength or cunning, but about the connections and cooperation that allow life to flourish, even in the most unforgiving conditions. High on the steep, rocky slopes, far above the tree line, a remarkable display of cooperation unfolds among the alpine ibex and indeed throughout the alpine world. These magnificent wild goats with their enormous curved horns are masters of the vertical world, but they are not alone in their reliance on teamwork. Other alpine species, like the chamois and marmot, also depend on collective care to survive. Even these powerful animals understand the value of teamwork, especially when it comes to protecting their most vulnerable members. In the harsh alpine environment, cooperation is not just a strategy, it's a necessity. After the birthing season, the female ibex, or does, form communal groups to create high-altitude nurseries. Similarly, marmots establish family colonies where sentries keep watch while others feed or care for the young. This is a collective childcare system designed to keep their young, known as kids, safe from the many dangers that lurk in the mountains. In marmot colonies, adults take turns babysitting and grooming the pups, reinforcing social bonds and group cohesion. While some mothers venture off to graze on the sparse alpine vegetation, a few designated females will stay behind, acting as vigilant babysitters for the entire group of kids. Chamois herds also rotate sentry duty, ensuring constant vigilance. They position themselves on strategic lookout points, constantly scanning the cliffs and the skies for any sign of a predator. Marmots, for example, use a sophisticated system of alarm calls to warn the colony of approaching threats. Their primary threat comes from above in the form of the golden eagle, a powerful raptor capable of snatching a small ibex kid from a ledge. Marmots and chamois face similar dangers from aerial and terrestrial predators. By sharing the duty of watching the young, the does ensure that the nursery is never left unprotected, allowing the whole herd to forage more efficiently and safely. Chamois adults often form a protective ring around their young, a living shield against danger. This communal strategy is not just about defense, it is also about education. Young animals learn by watching and imitating adults, picking up essential survival skills. The young ibex learn crucial survival skills by observing the adults and playing with their peers within the safety of the group. Chamois kids, too, practice their agility in mock chases, preparing for the challenges of mountain life. One of the most extraordinary lessons passed down through generations is how to navigate the near-vertical wall of the Singino Dam. Driven by a need for essential mineral salts that are scarce in their diet, the ibex have learned to climb the 50-meter-high concrete structure, licking the salt-encrusted stones. Mothers patiently guide their young, showing them the safest footholds on this seemingly impossible ascent, a tradition of learned behavior passed from one generation to the next. The ibex nursery is a perfect illustration of how social bonds and shared responsibility directly contribute to the survival of a species. Scientific studies have shown that such cooperation increases the survival rate of young and strengthens group cohesion. It ensures a higher survival rate for the young and really strengthens the entire herd. In chamois and marmot populations, researchers have observed that groups with strong social structures are more resilient to environmental stress. This system of mutual support allows the ibex and their alpine neighbors to thrive in an environment where a solitary mother and her offspring would be incredibly exposed. Marmots, for example, share the work of burrow maintenance and food gathering, ensuring the whole colony's survival. It stands as a powerful counterpoint to the idea of survival of the fittest being solely about individual strength and competition. In the alpine world, fitness is often measured by the ability to cooperate and support one another. For the ibex, the chamois, and the marmot, fitness is measured by the strength of their community and their willingness to care for one another. In these mountains, collective care is not just a lesson, it's a way of life and the secret to survival. The principle of cooperation in the Alps is not limited to the animal kingdom. It actually extends deep into the ancient forests, where a silent, hidden network of support exists just beneath the soil. Trees themselves, often perceived as solitary giants competing for sunlight and water, are engaged in a complex and fascinating form of solidarity. This is particularly evident in beech forests, where scientists have discovered that trees are interconnected through a vast, underground web of fungal threads known as a mycelial network. This so-called wood-wide web allows them to communicate and share vital resources. This subterranean network functions much like a community support system. Older, more established mother trees can send nutrients such as carbon and water through the fungal pathways to younger saplings struggling in the shade of the dense canopy. This support, greatly increases the chances of survival for the next generation. The network can even send warning signals. If one tree is attacked by pests or disease, it can release chemical signals that travel through the network, alerting neighboring trees to raise their own defenses. Recent scientific studies have revealed that these chemical messages are astonishingly specific. Trees can distinguish between different types of threats, such as insect attacks or fungal infections, and tailor their warning signals accordingly. Researchers have even recorded electrical impulses, similar to nerve signals in animals, traveling through the roots and mycelium. In response, neighboring trees may boost their own chemical defenses, producing bitter compounds or extra resin to deter invaders, sometimes even before the threat reaches them. It is a slow, silent, but incredibly effective form of collective security. One of the most astonishing examples of this forest solidarity involves a 500-year-old beech tree stump. This ancient relic is leafless and seemingly dead, incapable of photosynthesis to create its own food, yet it has been kept alive for centuries by the surrounding trees. Through their interconnected root systems, its neighbours, some of them its own descendants, others different species entirely, continuously feed it the sugars it needs to live. They are supporting an elder of their community, a testament to a form of loyalty and mutual aid that really transcends our typical understanding of the plant world. Scientists have recently discovered that some trees even form root grafts, physical fusions between roots that allow direct sharing of water and nutrients, further strengthening the bonds within the forest. Even in the highest, most exposed altitudes, where life clings on by a thread, plants demonstrate this cooperative spirit. Species like the moss campion grow in dense, cushion-like forms. This shape is a brilliant adaptation that creates a warmer, more humid microclimate within the plant, protecting it from freezing winds and conserving precious moisture. But the benefit extends beyond the individual. Other, more delicate species, like the beautiful blue gentian, can often be found growing within these cushions, taking advantage of the sheltered environment created by the campion. Recent research has shown that these plant communities not only share physical space but may also exchange chemical signals through the soil, warning each other of drought or frost and synchronizing flowering times for better pollination. They huddle together, finding strength in unity to survive where they could not survive alone. In the alpine world, communication and cooperation are not just survival strategies, they are the very language of life. The return of the wolf to the Alps has reintroduced an ancient challenge for humans living and working in the mountains, particularly for shepherds. But this is only the latest chapter in a story that stretches back thousands of years. For centuries, the relationship between man and dog in the alpine region has been one of mutual dependence and adaptation. Dogs have been indispensable partners, helping humans protect livestock from predators and navigate the rugged terrain. The conflict between protecting livestock and conserving a natural predator is a delicate one. Yet throughout history, alpine communities have relied on the intelligence and loyalty of their dogs to maintain this balance. Today, shepherds like Matthias Corneli, who grazes a flock of 650 sheep in the high pastures, continue this tradition, adapting ancient methods to modern challenges by creating their own multi-species packs to ensure the safety of their animals. His success relies on a deep understanding of animal behavior and the power of teamwork, a knowledge passed down through generations, evolving with each new threat and innovation. Instead of relying on fences alone, Matthias employs a carefully selected team of dogs, each with a specific role, mirroring the structure of a wolf pack, a strategy rooted in both tradition and observation of nature. He uses intelligent herding dogs, like the Beauceron and Pyrenean Shepherd, to manage and move the flock. These breeds have been refined over centuries for their agility, intelligence, and ability to work closely with humans in the challenging alpine environment. These dogs are the strategists, constantly circling and keeping the sheep bunched together, which is their natural defense against predators, a technique as old as alpine herding itself. A tightly packed flock is much more difficult for a wolf to attack than a scattered group of individuals, a lesson learned and reinforced through generations of shepherding. The herding dogs create a living, moving barrier of wool and vigilance around the clock, just as their ancestors did centuries ago. The second line of defense is provided by powerful livestock guardian dogs such as the Molossus, breeds whose roots in the Alps go back to Roman times. These large, imposing dogs live with the sheep permanently, bonding with them and considering the flock their family. This bond is the result of centuries of selective breeding and close companionship. Their role is not to herd, but to protect, a distinction that has shaped the evolution of both dog and shepherd in the alpine world. They're calm and gentle with the sheep, but become formidable deterrents when a threat approaches, embodying the dual nature of the guardian breeds. Their deep, booming barks are often enough to scare away a lone wolf or even a small pack, a sound that has echoed through alpine valleys for generations. They position themselves on the perimeter of the flock, especially at night, acting as sentinels against any potential danger, just as their ancestors did in the days when wolves were far more numerous. This alliance between shepherd, herding dogs, and guardian dogs is a perfect example of how humans can work in harmony with nature's principles, a partnership that has shaped the culture and survival of alpine communities for millennia. Matthias has effectively created a defensive unit that uses wolf-like instincts, pack structure, communication, and territorial defense to deter wolves without harming them, blending ancient wisdom with modern understanding. His system has been remarkably successful, preventing attacks and demonstrating that coexistence is possible, just as it was in the past, when shepherds and their dogs first learned to share the mountains with wolves. It is a testament to the idea that understanding and cooperating with the natural world is a far more effective strategy than attempting to dominate or destroy it. A lesson written into the very history of the Alps. It is a human-led pack thriving in the heart of wolf country, an enduring partnership between man and dog, shaped by the challenges and beauty of the alpine world. After weeks of caring for her growing cubs in the relative seclusion of the Mont Blanc Massif, the she-wolf knew it was time to move on. The area was not rich enough in the small prey she could hunt alone, and as her pups grew bolder, the risk of them being discovered by predators increased daily. With her 6 surviving young, now strong enough to travel, she began the final leg of her incredible journey. She led her small, fragile family south, a slow and careful migration that was fraught with new dangers. She had to guide them across busy roads, through valleys inhabited by humans, and over yet more mountain ranges. Their path took them across the Vargo and Chartreuse Massif, a landscape that was a mosaic of wild spaces and human development. For the cubs it was a world of bewildering new sights, sounds and smells. For their mother it was a landscape of constant threat. She had to teach them silence and caution, to freeze at her command and to follow her without question. Her journey was no longer a solitary endurance test, but a complex logistical and educational mission. She was not just a survivor anymore. She was a teacher, a protector, and the sole leader of a new fledgling pack. Her instincts finally led her to a place of refuge, the Mercantour National Park. This vast protected wilderness straddling the border between France and Italy is a sanctuary for wildlife. The Mercantour Sanctuary is renowned for its extraordinary biodiversity. Its landscapes range from snow-capped peaks and alpine meadows to ancient forests and crystal-clear rivers, providing a haven for over 2,000 plant species, more than a third of all plant species found in France. It is a land of ancient forests, pristine rivers, and abundant prey, managed to allow nature to flourish with minimal human interference. The park is home to a remarkable array of animals. Golden eagles patrol the skies, marmots whistle from their burrows, and elusive lynx prowl the shadows. Ibex and chamois scale the cliffs, while red deer and wild boar roam the woodlands. Conservation efforts in Mercantour are ongoing and vital. Park rangers and scientists work tirelessly to monitor wildlife populations, restore habitats, and ensure the delicate balance between nature and human activity is maintained. Educational programs and community outreach help foster a culture of respect and stewardship, teaching visitors and locals alike about the importance of preserving this unique ecosystem. Here, the pressure of survival lessened slightly. The territory was rich and vast enough to support a new pack. After her immense 1,300-kilometre trek, the she-wolf had found a place where she and her children could finally establish a home. In this new, promising territory, she felt a change. The desperate, nomadic chapter of her life was over. Now it was time to build a future. One evening, as the sun set over the Alps of Haute-Provence, she climbed to a high ridge, pointed her muzzle to the sky, and let out a long, haunting howl. It was not a call of loneliness or despair, but a call of invitation and declaration. She was announcing her presence, claiming this new territory as her own, and searching for a mate to help her build a new pack. And in the vast silence of the Mercantour, the wilderness listened. A young male wolf, a lone wanderer like she had been, heard her call and answered, drawn to the promise of a new dynasty. The she-wolf story did not end with that hopeful howl. Soon after, camera traps set up by researchers in the Mercantour National Park captured remarkable footage. The images confirmed that she had successfully found a new mate, the young male who had answered her call. Together they were seen patrolling their new territory, their combined presence a clear sign of a new pack being formed. The she-wolf, her 6 grown cubs, and her new partner were now a complete family unit. Her solitary ordeal was over. She had not only survived against all odds, but had succeeded in her ultimate mission, giving her cubs a future and establishing a new lineage. Her incredible journey is more than just the story of one animal's resilience. It is a powerful symbol of the natural reconquest of the Alps by wolves, a species that was hunted to near extinction in the 20th century. From just a handful of families that survived in Italy, the wolf population has rebounded, spreading across the mountain range to number nearly 2,000 today. The she-wolf's solitary trek across nations is a living map of this expansion, a testament to the indomitable spirit of nature and its ability to heal and reclaim what was lost when given a chance. Throughout her struggle, the she-wolf's experience as a lone individual highlighted a greater truth about survival in this extreme environment. While she fought a lonely battle, the world around her was thriving on teamwork. We see it in the flocks of birds that forage and watch for danger together, and in the ibex mothers who pool their young into a shared nursery for protection. We even see it in the forest itself, where trees share nutrients through a hidden network, and in the high meadows where plants huddle together for warmth. These are not isolated incidents, they are the dominant theme of alpine life. Ultimately, the great secret of the Alps is that cooperation is often a more successful strategy than competition. While the survival of the fittest may conjure images of fierce battles and individual might, the reality in this harsh landscape is that the fittest are often those who work together. From the Swiss pine and the nutcracker bird planting forests together to the shepherd and his dogs forming a protective pack, the evidence is overwhelming. The she-wolf story, which begins with the breakdown of a pack and ends with the creation of a new one, beautifully illustrates this fundamental rule. In the high Alps, community is the ultimate key to survival. Consider the marmots, who post sentinels to watch for eagles and sound the alarm, ensuring the safety of the entire colony. Their vigilance is a shared responsibility, and their survival depends on trust and communication. Chamois herds navigate treacherous cliffs as a unit, the experienced leading the young, each animal's movement influencing the safety of the group. Even the smallest creatures like alpine ants build complex nests and gather food collectively, their strength lying in numbers and coordination. Golden eagles, though fierce predators, sometimes hunt in pairs, increasing their chances of success and sharing the rewards. These lessons from the wild are not just for animals. Humans, too, thrive when we work together, whether it's mountaineers sharing supplies on a windswept ridge or communities banding together to protect their environment. In alpine villages, generations cooperate, elders passing down knowledge, neighbors helping with harvests, and families supporting each other through harsh winters. The Alps remind us that survival is not a solitary pursuit. Whether animal or human, our greatest strength lies in unity, compassion, and the willingness to help one another. As the sun rises over the peaks, the story of the she-wolf and her alpine neighbors offers a timeless lesson. In the face of adversity, cooperation over conflict is the path to resilience and renewal. High above the snow-capped peaks, where the air thins and the winds howl, life persists in the most unexpected forms. Here, the masters of the sky reign supreme, the golden eagle and the alpine chough. These birds are true survivors, each uniquely adapted to the unforgiving conditions of the Alps. The golden eagle, with its piercing gaze and formidable talons, is the apex predator of these heights. It soars effortlessly on thermal currents, scanning the slopes below for marmots, hares, and even young ibex. Its hunting technique is a blend of patience and precision, waiting on high ledges, then diving at breathtaking speed to strike with unerring accuracy. In contrast, the alpine chough is a social acrobat of the mountains. These clever birds gather in flocks, their glossy black feathers and yellow bills flashing against the snow. Adapted to the cold, choughs use their curved beaks to probe for insects and seeds hidden beneath the frost. They nest in rocky crevices, safe from predators and the biting wind, and often return to the same sites year after year. Both species have evolved remarkable strategies to survive the extremes. The eagle's broad wings allow it to glide for hours with minimal effort, conserving energy in a land where food is scarce. The cho's communal lifestyle ensures that warning calls and food discoveries are quickly shared, increasing the odds for every member of the flock. Even in winter, when the world is locked in ice and silence, the skies above the Alps are alive with movement. The golden eagle rides the wind, a symbol of wild freedom and mastery. The alpine cho weaves through the air, a testament to the power of cooperation. Together, these birds remind us that survival in the high mountains depends on both strength and community. In the endless dance between predator and prey, solitude and society, the masters of the sky continue to inspire awe and teach us the value of adaptation in a changing world. Beneath the towering peaks and swirling winds, another world thrives, one that is easy to overlook, yet vital to the alpine ecosystem. This is the realm of tiny survivors, the insects of the high mountains. Despite the brutal cold, alpine insects have mastered the art of survival. Some, like the snow flea, produce special antifreeze proteins that prevent their bodies from freezing solid, even when temperatures plummet far below zero. Others, such as the mountain butterfly, lay eggs that can withstand months of ice and snow, patiently waiting for the brief warmth of summer to hatch. These resilient creatures are more than just survivors. They are essential workers in the delicate web of life. Alpine bees and flies pollinate rare mountain flowers, ensuring their continued bloom. Beetles and ants break down decaying plant matter, recycling nutrients back into the soil. Even the tiniest midge plays a role, feeding birds and bats when food is scarce. Though small, these insects are a cornerstone of the alpine world. Their ability to adapt, endure, and support life around them is a quiet miracle, unfolding every day beneath the snow and stone. In the grand story of the Alps, the tiny survivors remind us that even the smallest lives can make the biggest difference. The Alps are a land of extremes where the seasons paint the world in dramatically different colors. As winter's grip loosens and the snow begins to melt, life stirs across the mountains, but survival here depends on more than just endurance. It requires adaptation to the rhythms of the year. Some animals, like the ibex and chamois, migrate to lower altitudes during the harshest months, returning to higher ground when the meadows bloom. Others, such as marmots, retreat into deep burrows, sleeping away the winter in a state of hibernation, their bodies slowing to conserve precious energy. Not all changes are about movement or sleep. The alpine hare, for example, undergoes a remarkable transformation. Its brown summer coat turns snowy white in winter, providing perfect camouflage against predators. Ptarmigans, too, shed their earth-toned feathers for a cloak of white, blending seamlessly into the frosty landscape. Even the smallest creatures join in this dance of adaptation. Insects enter diapause, a kind of suspended animation until warmth returns. Plants, meanwhile, store energy underground, waiting patiently for their brief window to bloom. In this world shaped by cycles of freeze and thaw, every species has found a way to survive the shifting seasons. Together, they reveal the resilience and ingenuity of alpine life, a testament to nature's power to adapt, endure, and thrive, no matter how the world may change. The Alps have always demanded resilience, but now a new challenge threatens to reshape this ancient landscape: climate change. As temperatures climb, the snowline retreats higher each year, shrinking the icy habitats that many species depend on. Alpine plants and animals, finely tuned to the cold, are forced to move ever upward in search of suitable conditions, but the peaks can only rise so far. For the ibex and chamois, warmer winters mean less reliable snow cover, altering their migration patterns and exposing them to unfamiliar predators. Marmots, emerging from hibernation earlier, may find food scarce if the spring arrives before the mountain meadows are ready. The alpine hare's white winter coat, once perfect camouflage, now stands out against bare rock and patchy snow, making it an easy target. New threats emerge as well. Insects and diseases, once limited by freezing temperatures, creep higher into the mountains, endangering native plants and animals unprepared for these invaders. Even the ancient glaciers, lifeblood of alpine rivers, are shrinking, threatening water supplies for wildlife and people alike. Yet, adaptation continues. Scientists and conservationists work alongside nature, creating wildlife corridors and monitoring vulnerable species. Some animals are learning new behaviors, adjusting diets, or shifting their ranges. The future of the Alps depends on this ongoing dance between change and adaptation, loss and hope. The story of alpine life is being rewritten one season at a time, as all who call these mountains home strive to face a warming world.